Alright, what's up everyone? And in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you my cultural heritage. So, here we go. Me and my family we have a Mexican heritage. And me personally, I'm both Mexican and American. Um, the way I would describe my family is we have come from a multicultural background. So we have different different cultures. Like me and my mom, my parents, they weren't really. My mom wasn't actually into her culture, into Mexican culture as much as my dad was, and she um, she's not into American culture. So um, there's a bit of a cultural differences between me and her, where I'm into both Mexican and American culture, but I'm not fully immersed in either of them. So and as far as my dad's side, he's more into the Mexican culture, and I think he was into the Chinese American culture. I don't know how I don't know how much he was into it. I don't know. I rarely knew my dad, so I don't know if anything about his cultural background or anything of that sort. So I can't really say. Um, but yeah, like I said, what I can say is that we have a multicultural background, and for various reasons, partially because um, you know we grew up exposed to different cultures and stuff like that. So um, before I get into my culture, I would like to explain um, why I even got into my culture in the first place. And originally, I wanted to be white. I wanted to assimilate into um, white culture, so I would constantly get try to get white people's approval. I would try to um, suck up to them and do whatever they wanted me to do. So I didn't really like my culture at all. I just did not like it whatsoever. So I pretty much renounced it. I didn't think it was important at all. And until one day I woke up and realized um, it was important because I was affected by it personally, subconsciously affected by it. You know, I had family issues going on, and a lot of stuff that made me realize, wow, culture is actually really important, because it affects the way your family works, it affects the way you work, and things of that sort. And not to mention that I realized there was a lot of great things about my culture that if I were to forget about them, then I would lose that knowledge and forever. Like um, there would come a point where I wouldn't be able to get it back, no matter how hard I tried. And um, because the recipe, like for example, the recipes my mom got was from her grandmother. Um, so it's a family thing. So to lose that, I realized, gosh, like that really would suck for me to lose that that knowledge and forever. So that's why I started to and appreciate my culture more, and and that's how I got into it. So, um, what's my cultural background? Well, like I said, it's multicultural. Um, I consider myself Mexican American and also ethnically Chinese because I pretty much strongly identify with those specific cultures. Now, I did grow up in, I did um, have multiple cultures like, Japanese, Korean, all that stuff. A lot of I was exposed to different cultures like Jamaican culture, Black culture. So don't get me wrong, like I do like those cultures as well, but I um, mostly identify with those cultures that I named: Chinese, Mexican, American, because those were the cultures that I was mostly exposed to. Like, um, so let's get started with my Mexican side, and I'm just gonna talk to you about what I like about it, what I don't like about it, um, what I grew up with. So, um, I grew up with some aspects of the culture, like the Rosca de Reyes. I grew up learning Spanish, speaking Spanish and English. Um, kept the I had fun using the pinatas, hitting them and whatnot, and just blindfolded, with a bat, just hitting them, whacking them, and getting all the sweets out and stuff like that. Um, and some of the family values were pretty strong, like the family family I don't know how to pronounce it, but basically we valued family and loyalty to family and stuff like that. So um, that had a huge impact on my life, and other stuff included like the toys. I had a trompo, which is basically a spinning top, and that you use. And another thing is the I can't think of anything else, but those are pretty much a lot of the things I like especially the food. Like I like the food. Um, I liked traditional food, and but also the Tex-Mex food, is the Americanized food. So I had a taste of both, and I like it for some reason. Um, Now, as far as the what I don't like the machismo. I don't like the sexism. I don't like the Catholicism because I grew up in a Protestant Christian home, so I wasn't really into the Catholicism and stuff like that, the Virgin Mary, none of that stuff. So we pretty much threw that side of the culture out, um, which is why I have mixed feelings about Day of the Dead and stuff like that as of right now because of that reason. And I like there's some things that I like about it and some things I don't like about Day of the Dead. For example, I like the makeup, the decorations and stuff like that. You know, I don't like the I guess I also well hold on. I like the idea that you're supposed to be joyful for your family, like remember the good times that you had, and rather than mourn their loss, like a lot of people normally do here in America. So I feel like that's a good way to cope with loss, and that's one of the things that I try to do in my personal culture, if you will. Like, I try to look at the good times, not the bad times, and so. But going to the things I don't like the I don't like the way I don't like kind of like this the animism or the belief in spirits. I don't like the superstitions in Mexican culture. I I just can't vibe with it. That's not who I am. Um, I'm a critical thinker. I like to look for proof of things. I don't like believing things just because someone says or whatever. I like seeing things as they are and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, that's it for my Mexican heritage. Now I'm going into the American heritage. I like the sense of individuality, freedom that you have, the belief in equality, things of that sort. I like some of the holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, um, things of that sort. Maybe Valentine's Day. I don't know. Even though I don't really fully immerse myself in those either, I still like them for some reason, just because it's just a feel good time, and I like feeling good, so that's why I like them. Um, I there's lots of things that I don't like about the culture. Like I don't like the racism. I don't like the sexism. I don't like the hypocrisy of Americans, or to think that they're better than everyone else and that they should blindly obey the police and military without question. It's just arrogant to me, and it's bullcrap. So yeah, there's that. I don't like I definitely do not like the government at all. I think it's very corrupt. I think that it's more. I just lost respect for the government, period, because they've done so much crap. and they refuse to admit to it, and they refuse to accept that what they did was wrong. And so there's lots of things I don't like. I don't like about American culture, but yeah, I do like the individuality, have being yourself, and things of that sort. So there's good and bad to it. Now moving on to the Chinese culture. Um, I was pretty much only exposed to the food. I would often go to the Chinese American restaurants, and I also got into the philosophy a little bit as a kid because I loved watching martial arts movies, um, reading books on the sometimes I remember going to the library and checking out books on I think different religions, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about Chinese philosophy through Taoism, Buddhism, stuff like that. A little bit. I would also watch the shows and learn a lot about Chinese culture there, like Taoism. Um, Although, except I didn't really know what it was called at the time. I just knew that that in traditional Chinese culture, it was about having harmony with the universe. It was about having a strong government that would teach morality and teach people how to live right, and I like the concept of saving face, like not letting negative emotions get the best of you in social situations. Um, Pretty much trying to be polite to everybody, be respectful to everybody, and I watched that on TV, I think, and I said, that's the right way to live. That's the way I want to live. Um, I said, and especially since I was a Christian, I guess that also had an influence on me. So I said, I think this is the right way to live. So that's why I adopted it, and that's where I am now. So there's plenty of things I like about it. I like the food. I love the food. I love the martial arts aspect of it. Even though I don't practice any traditional martial arts. I pretty much do my own thing. Um, I like the philosophy. I like the concept of saving face to some degree. I like the family honor thing where you're expected to represent your community and get involved with your community, um, take care of your family, and a lot of things like that. So um, I don't like the superstitions. I don't like the shaming culture where um, you are expected to live up to a certain standard, and if you don't live up to it, then you're shamed for it. You're called you're looked down on, and people call you out in it and stuff like that. And I also don't like some aspects of where people expect. It seems like people sort of expect things to just change, and it's like if things are with the racism that's going on right now, people expect things to just they think that there's some leader that's going to come and just save everybody, and that's not really realistic. That's where I disagree with the Chinese culture is that and the concept of saving face. I feel like you should call people out regardless of their social status and make things happen. You know, don't just wait passively and and for things to happen. And it seems like that's the case with people. Um, I could be wrong, but it feels like Chinese people, they let things get to a boiling point, if you will, and to where it's too late to do anything about it, and um, or they let things get so bad um, to where only when it gets to the uttermost worst, then they do something about it. And I don't agree with that. So so yeah, there's things that I like about it, and things I don't like about it. And I did have an identity crisis. Um, a lot of times, I didn't know which culture to take. I did not know which culture to embrace. I did not know what parts to take out of it, what to keep from it, and I still don't know. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out. Um, and there's really a lot of misconceptions about what it means to be Mexican American. For example, people think that it's in one set category, that people Mexicans are one race, and they're into this box, and they can't get out of that box because then they wouldn't be considered Mexican American. And I disagree. In fact, it's a pretty known fact that most Mexicans are mixed race. Mexico, it has a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people there that are white, that are black, that are Asian, a whole bunch of other cultures and ethnicities and races, and they all pretty much mix together. Um, this Mexico has pretty much had trade relations with a bunch of other countries, and it's a melting pot like America is, and that's why you see all of these different cultures there. So I know that where my father grew up in Guerrero, he's from Guerrero, and there's a pretty large Asian community there that immigrated from China, I think. Um, so and they fused together with Mexican culture, so it's a mix of two cultures, various cultures actually, and that's pretty much where my mixed heritage came from to some degree. Um, so yeah, I had that issue. I had that identity crisis go on. Um, didn't know what to identify as. Um, so I had to really think about it. I had to think about, like, how can I blend these cultures together and and still, still be Mexican American, still keep it, you know. Um, so I'm not one for denying my culture, like one side of my culture over another. I think that you should, if you come from a mixed heritage, I feel like you should blend them all together. You know, don't deny one over the other, and embrace them. You know, I don't believe in fully embracing one over the other because I feel like they all have something to offer, even if it's not really practical in some cases. Even if there's some bad parts of it, there's still a lot of things to offer, um, like the things I just mentioned. Um, so yeah, it was pretty difficult because I had culture clashes with my mom and family members. We would argue about stuff like I didn't like eating spicy food, and they did. They told me that I should and whatnot, and then I tried it and I liked it. So it was hard, but I still did it. And as far as Chinese culture goes, there's I didn't like the ancestor worship. I don't believe in worshiping ancestors, like I said. However, I did like how you I do believe in respecting your ancestors, honoring your ancestors, learning from them, things of that sort. So that's what I did. I looked at my ancestors. I learned about their values and whatnot, and learned about their struggles, their what they went through, and like for example, the Aztecs, they would wear um, they would wear animal skins like jaguar animal skins. They would wear lion skins and stuff like that to scare off their enemies, to create that fear in them. And they would also use like weapons to create fear in their opponents. And I don't while I don't use that per se, I don't use that in day to day life. But I do use it, or I'm thinking about using it in my martial arts training, in my self defense training. So there's that. Um, and then there's also, I think that in it's in Chinese culture to embrace all types of foods. And at first, as a Westerner, I didn't like eating everything. I had because in Western culture and American culture, there's just some things that you just don't eat. It's just taboo, like um, like insects for example. A lot of people here they don't like eating bugs. They think that bugs belong outside on the lawn or whatever. Um, so it's a no no for them. Um, the more I learned about Chinese cuisine, the more I realized, I had to ask myself, why do I not like this food? What's wrong with it? So, and I really had to think about it, you know, um, and I guess the conclusion I came to is that there's really nothing wrong with it. I mean, as long as it had a good source of protein, um, it was edible. So I had to open up my mind a little bit and really appreciate what what uh what a lot of foods had to offer, and that's why I'm pretty much trying to slowly but surely try new things and pretty much get over my prejudices. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to eat everything, but um, I'm gonna be more. I'm gonna try to be more open minded with it, and try stuff out. And with I had a lot of culture clashes with Mexican and American culture. Like it's in Mexican culture to pretty much um, pretty much follow your parents, your family's expectations, be the man of the house, be macho. It's all about proving yourself and proving your worth, and a lot of toxic stuff that I don't agree with. And that's the part of the culture that I pretty much shunned. I used to in a way agree with it back when I didn't know any better, but then I looked at the American culture, and it's completely different. People they say no, you got to set boundaries. It doesn't matter if it's family, because the point of parenthood is to pretty much raise your kids so they can be independent adults, and that's not really the case with Mexican culture, because everybody has a role that they got to play. And it's part of Mexican culture to not rat your family out to the feds, because it's your family. And in American culture, it's not really the case. If your family did something wrong, if your fam once your family betrays you, then you're under no obligation to defend him or her. It doesn't matter if you're family, if once you hurt someone so badly to a point where there's really no coming back from, then you just got to cut ties, you know. It's not good for you to. It's not good. Not everyone. Just because you're blood related doesn't mean that you're family. Family is deeper than that. I realize family is all about respect, trust, loyalty, a lot of stuff. So it's not just mom giving birth to you. That's not really what it is. So it was all confusing at first, but then I guess slowly but surely I'm getting finding out who I am culturally speaking, and just learning things day by day, and trying to pretty much blend everything together, and seeing where it goes. So and I do get a lot of people who tell me, oh, you don't you don't belong, you're not fully in this culture. Especially from Mexicans, they'll be like, oh well, you got to embrace all of this part of the culture, and if you don't, then you're not one of us. And I don't care, honestly. I do my own thing, and if they don't want to accept it, that's their problem. I don't really care. I'm not gonna get into the machismo. I'm not gonna suck up to people just because that's who they want me to be. If somebody has something good to say, if somebody has like a suggestion, something to help improve my life, or get in touch with my cultural roots, then I'll try it out. If I like it, and I'll adopt it if that's my thing. But if it's something toxic, then no, I'm not gonna do that. So I feel like that's the way it should be. You should embrace your culture if it benefits you. Like I like meditation. That's part of Chinese culture. Um, at first, I didn't agree with it. At first, I thought it was some spiritual mumbo jumbo, um, and that it really. I thought that prayer was enough. And don't get me wrong, I still pray to God and everything. But I realized that meditation is also a good thing because it helps relieve stress. It helps bring self awareness. And first time I tried it, I was like, "Wow, this is good stuff." So I began using it, and I like Chinese calligraphy too. I like learning Chinese as well. Um, it's the philosophy to pretty much create a upright character. Um, so it has like a unique way of self expression and a good mindset to have. So that's why I like it. Um, so there you have it. I mean, I just wanted to share that with you. Hopefully, bring some insights into your own culture and how to find it. And I don't think it. I don't think that you have to necessarily grow up with culture. I think that um, because not everyone has the luxury of growing up with culture. I sure didn't. I didn't fully grow up with everything um, in American culture, Mexican culture. I didn't grow up knowing everything. I pretty much I learned some things, and the rest I just had to research for myself and find out for myself. So I think that as if you feel some sort of connection to it, I feel like you should explore that more and figure out where you came from and where it leads you. I feel like that's pretty much the most important thing. It's really a journey of self discovery. Um, so there you have it. Those are my thoughts. Pretty much my story of my cultural heritage. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what yours is. Um, and so peace out.